Today, I want to continue that discussion. I want to talk to you about something that you probably don't think that is related to church, but I want to show you how important it is for us to get it back, and that is to get back our swagger.
Praise God.
I didn't even know that word existed until about 7 years ago when I heard a couple of kids were talking, young people. Someone asked me, what is the Samoan word for swagger? And I said, sweka. Sweka. The dictionary defines swagger as to walk or to strut with a defiant or insolent air, to boast or to brag noisily. Let me give you an example.
Right. I have wrestled with an alligator. I done tussled with a whale. I done handcuffed lightning, throw thunder in jail. That's bad. Only last week, I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean, I make medicine sick. Man.
I predict that when I meet Joe Frazier, this will be like a good amateur fighting a real professional. This will be like a kid out of the Olympics meeting the fastest heavyweight champion that ever lived. This will be no contest.
Who's this guy you're fighting?
This guy is a dead man walking. That's who this guy is.
Look, what are you looking at? Yeah, what you wanna do? You wanna do something? You wanna do something? You wanna do something?
I own this town. I own Rio de Janeiro. So for him to say he is the king and I am the joker, if this was a different time, I would invade his favela on horseback and kill anyone that was not fit to walk. But we are in a new time, so I'll whoop ass in July.
Thank you. I don't know where you got that stuff, but that's good. Muhammad Ali, true swagger, person with swagger. Conor McGregor, a person with swagger. Swagger. You remember Ledecky, just the Olympics not too long ago, when she walks, when she jumps into the water, everybody knows that she's going to take care of business. Phelps, when he walks to the platform, everybody knows that he is going to win. You can see it in their mannerism. You can see it in their eyes. You can see by the way they move that they're ready to perform and they know that they can win. People with swagger know who they are and what they can do. Now, I can think of Anderson Silva. I follow a little bit of that when I can, the UFC. Now this guy, Anderson Silva, he's a 180-pound pounder who has not lost in 10 years. And who every time an opponent will come to fight him, they would be defeated before they even get to the octagon. Until he got beat by a kid by the name of Chris Whiteman. But you know what? When he got beat the first time, after he got hurt and he had to recover from the injury, I think a whole year was taken off. After he came back, everybody wants to fight him. Before, nobody wants to fight him because there was this mystique, there was this aura, there was this thing about him that when the people see, they can't seem to defeat him in their minds. So by the time they come to the octagon, they've already been defeated. They know that they will get beat by him. The spider moves around when he comes into the ring with so much control, so much swagger, he knows he's going to win this fight. Ronda Rousey was the same way. Before she got beat and knocked out, she has swagger. When she goes to the fight, everyone knows she's going to win. She has it. when she, of course, she got beat, and she hasn't come back to fight since her loss. Swagger as often describes someone with a negative attitude or someone with prideful spirit, arrogant, and so boastful. But I want to talk about swagger as something positive that people will see when they see confidence and when they see positive attitude that the church must have to let the world know that they are victorious. The church in America is not doing very well. But God is still working in and through his church. And those that are waiting on God to do the things that he is going to do will walk, or should walk, I should say, that they should walk around with an attitude, with a confidence that they know that God is with them, and they know that God always wins. So many Christian people are walking in defeat. They are giving into the enemy in what he's doing right now. But they forgot that God won. Well, let's look at some stories that portrays biblical swagger. If you remember 1 Samuel chapter 17, that story about David and Goliath. The Israelites was told in the story that they were afraid of Goliath. Every morning Goliath would come out and defy Israelite and their God. And the Bible says that Israelite and their king would run. They were afraid. They were so dismayed. They were so destroyed in their fear in their hearts to have no courage to fight the Philistines. Then David came over the hill with swagger. He said, I will go and fight this Philistine. Chapter 17, verse 37, he says, the Lord who rescued me, because all the naysayers say you can't do it. The king says you can't fight him. You are a youth, but this guy had been a soldier, warrior from his youth. Then he said to the king, the Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. Saul said to David, go and may the Lord be with you. He had swagger. David said to the Philistine, to Goliath, you come against me with a dagger, with a spear, and with a sword, but I come against you in the name of Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel's army. You have defied him. This was swagger to the utmost, because he knew that if God is on his side, he will win. Regardless of the situation that he may find himself, he knows that he has swagger because God has won the battle.
Amen.
Daniel. 3 friends in chapter 3 of Daniel's book. The king of Babylon had just finished building a statue and ordered everyone in the kingdom to bow down when they hear a signal. The 3 boys didn't. And they were reported to the king. And the king told them once more, he says, we will do this again. If by the time, if you hear this signal, if you hear this music, you must bow down. You must bow down. But they say to the king in verse 16 of Daniel chapter 3, Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego replied to the king. They said, Nebuchadnezzar, we don't need to give you an answer to this question. Verse 17, if God we serve exists, then he can rescue us from the furnace of blazing fire, and he can rescue us from the power of you, the king. They were just so trustful. They're so trusting that God was on their side. And if they believe that God was on their side, it doesn't matter what situation they find themselves in. They knew that they are going to win. That's how we should be.
Hallelujah.
That no matter how we are, no matter where we are, there has to be an understanding that God is going to win after all. And so here we find in Daniel that the three boys who understand what the situation is about is the enemy against righteousness, is the evil against good, and is Nebuchadnezzar against God. And they believe that if God is on our side, we would have the swagger to know that we will win.
Praise God. Yes, amen.
John chapter 14, we find Jesus' conversation with his disciples. You have to take this chapter in its context, because Jesus had been telling the disciples that he was going to lead, that they were going to be by themselves, that they were going to depend on the Holy Spirit to come and lead them and help them in their time of need. And as he was telling them in chapter 14, he said to them, your heart must not be troubled. This is the EBS translation. Believe in God, believe also in me. The understanding of what Jesus was saying to the disciples is that you may be going through doubts and questions in your mind, but he's saying that let not your heart be troubled. The word trouble is an interesting word, because the word trouble, it has to, it defines the feeling of being stirred up from the bottom of your heart. And he is saying to them, don't allow the news of my departure stir up the fear and stir up the doubt and stir up question in your heart about how you're going to survive this time without me. Do not allow your heart to be troubled. And he said to them, in my Father's house are many dwelling places. If not, I would have told you. I'm going away to prepare a place for you. Then in verse 3 he says, if I go away and prepare a place for you, I will come back and receive you to myself, so that where I am, you may be also. And I want to tell you that we should walk with swagger, understanding and confidence, with the attitude that is positive, because Christ is coming back. No matter what we're going through, no matter the pain that we suffer, no matter the discouragement that we receive at times, we understand that Christ is coming back. There is an end to all the things that's going on.
Yes, amen. Praise
That
God.
Christ will come back and he will take you unto himself.
Hallelujah.
So we win. So we should walk with swagger.
Yes, amen.
Jesus is coming back. And we should not be living like we have no hope and living life a life of defeat but we should walk with swagger, because we win.
Praise God.
Paul in his letter to the Romans chapter 8, as he talked to the church in Rome about the change that has gone on in their lives and the transformation that has taken place. Then he said in verse 31, what then are we to say about these things? If God is for us, who is against us? The clip that you see about this bragging, this swagger, this confidence that Muhammad Ali and Conor McGregor has, is the understanding that they can do it. They know that they've done it before. They have this confidence that when they walk into the ring, that they will win. And I think that's the kind of swagger that we should have. That's the kind of confidence we should have. That's the kind of positive thinking that we should have. Amen. That Christ has defeated Satan and we will always win.
Yes, amen.
Verse 32 of chapter 8, he says, he did not even spare his own son, but offered him up for us all. How will he not also with him grant us everything? So now that he is not only talking in verse 31 about the victorious attitude that we should have, because if God is with us, who is against us? But he's also saying to us that we are lacking nothing, because he will grant us everything that our hearts desire.
Praise God.
Because he gave up his son for us all. So how he not also with him? He's given Christ, and then when he give Christ, he also grant us everything in him. Who can bring accusation against God's elect? God is the one who justifies. Who is the one who condemns? Christ is the one who died, but even more, who has been raised, and he also is the right hand of the Father and intercedes for us. Who can separate us from the love of Christ? Can affliction, or anguish, or persecution, or famine, or nakedness, or danger, or sword? As it is written, because of you we are being put to death. All day long we are counted as sheep to be slaughtered. He says in verse 37, no, in all these things we are more than conquerors.
Praise God.
More than victorious through him who loved us.
Hallelujah.
I tell you, we should walk with swagger, because Christ died for us.
Hallelujah.
We should walk with swagger, because God is on our side. We should walk with swagger, because we know the end. Christ is coming back to take us home.
Praise God.
We should walk with swagger, because there's nothing that can separate us from his love.
Yes.
Therefore, we should walk with swagger, with confidence, and with a positive attitude. Now, no matter what is happening, no matter what is going through, no matter what's happening to us, God is still victorious.
Yes, amen.
There will be trouble on every side. There will be hardship. It's nothing new. We face trouble and hardship from the beginning. Christians were burned at the stake. Christians were misjudged and blamed for everything that had gone wrong in some societies. Christians were thrown to be eaten by wild animals and to be torn up by wild animals. But yet, after hearing those stories, after being told about the suffering that comes and the persecution that comes with being a Christian, yet there still has to be an attitude of confidence that we have for who we are and what we are. Because if God is for us, who can be against us?
Yes,
And so we should walk with swagger, with confidence that Jesus is on our side, that no matter what's going on in our life outside of church, God is still there protecting and leading us. And so even though that Christian had been in trouble for so many centuries in the past, but I want to tell you, the church is still willing, even though that the church condition is not so good here in America, yet the church still is God's creation. And Jesus said to his disciples that I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. And I want to tell you that the church is still winning, because at the end, God lives.
Yes, amen.
And he wins. And if he wins, we should walk with sweat, with confidence, with a positive thinking that we want because of Jesus.
Yes, amen.
Can you say amen?
Amen.
Let's stand.
Praise God.